So optimism in our field of cancer is not expecting perfection or that everything will be right. Optimism, as defined by a man named Martin Seligman in a book, Learned Optimism, is defined as the disposition to expect the best possible outcome in the situation. Best possible outcome. So the more you work on optimism, the more you look at setting your mental channel for what the best possible outcome is and working towards that, you feel more in control. This is a great story of an elderly man who was 90, who was a pessimist, and he heard that optimists live longer, and they do. Why? Because they actually take care of themselves better. They go to the doctors more often. Pessimists don't want to know, because they feel they can't do anything about it. So the man says, I'm going to become an optimist. What should I do? I'll learn to skydive. That's a very optimistic pursuit. So he takes his ground lessons. He's up in the plane for the first time. The instructor says, sir, here's what's going to happen. You're going to jump out of the plane. You're going to count to 10, pull the cord. Parachute will open, and you will glide safely to Earth, at which point there'll be a truck there to take you back to the airport. You'll get your certificate. If, by some chance, the instructor says, the original chute does not open, do not panic. You have an emergency chute. Pull that. A smaller but adequate chute will open. You will glide safely to Earth, at which point there'll be a truck there to take you back to the airport. You'll get your certificate. The man is committed to doing this. He jumps out of the plane. He counts to 10, pulls the cord. Nothing happens. Starts to panic. He says, no, I'm an optimist. I have a solution. Pulls the emergency cord. Nothing happens. First thing then goes through his mind, I bet you the truck's not going to be there either. My friends, it's hard to remain optimistic. It takes a lot of work because our tendency is to go back to that, to that negativity thing. And that's where the self-talk piece comes in. You know, self-talk, it's pay attention. We do it all the time. Have you ever been walking down the street, someone's coming towards you and waving, you don't recognize that person, but you wave back anyway because your self-talk says wave? Be polite. Then you realize they're waving to the person behind you. Now what does your self-talk say? Come here, quick. We call it waving to the wrong person. So the first reason we really don't use our sense of humor enough is we're much more comfortable with negativity. The second reason we don't use our sense of humor as much as we'd like is that we really don't honor other people's humor. We tend to think of people who don't laugh at what we laugh at have no sense of humor. And because humor is about connection, if you're not laughing, you're thinking the other person doesn't get it. One of the biggest challenges that comes to me in my work is people who ask me about the difference in humor between men and women. Have you noticed that men and women have different senses of humor? Generally, women go, yeah, guys go, I don't know. Here's why. It's just a little take. One of the things to recognize is men and women use the English language differently, and a lot of humor is language-based. So, for example, both men and women use this phrase, I have nothing to wear. Simple phrase. Women tend to mean, I have nothing new to wear. Men tend to mean, I have nothing clean to wear. The word clean itself means different things to men and women. You notice that? Women tend to judge cleanliness by looking at something. Men judge cleanliness by smelling it. You watch a guy trying to determine whether a shirt is clean enough to wear. We go, yeah, I could wear this. This shirt could have a piece of pizza hanging from the front. But if it smells good, we'll wear it. I'm sure I'm not the only man in this room. You don't have to self-disclose, but who at some point in their life has gone through the hamper to determine what shirt is clean enough to wear. You don't have to, yeah, I'm sure I'm not the only one. The word shopping means different things to men and women. For many women, shopping is a stress release. For few men, shopping is a stress release. And I don't understand why you even bring us to the mall. Right? There's nothing sadder in my mind to look on the face of a man at the mall holding the bag. You can see the self-talk going, it's not mine. The other difference in shopping is generally men do not have to show our purchases to other people. I don't think there's a man in this room who's bought a suit at any point in his life, come home, tried it on, come out and go, how do I look? Women do this all the time. I don't understand it because it's not a multiple choice question. You know, there's only one answer. What's the answer? Great. But you know, ladies, you never believe us. You always have it. You sure? Yeah, I'm sticking to my story. It's great. Let's go. The other difference between men and women, it turns out men and women process information differently. And when it comes to our situation around illness and explanation and trying to manage a lot of things that are difficult for us as lay people to understand, because it's difficult for the medical people to understand. They talk in statistics. You have a 30% chance of 80% recovery for 42 years if you do. They say, well, how does that happen? Am I going to be okay? I don't know. I don't know. So women tend to process with using a whole brain. This is why women are better at multitasking. Men process half a brain at a time. So cut us some slack, okay? This is why men generally are more solution-oriented. Women are more process-oriented, just what brain studies show. But you don't need to be a scientist to know that men and women process differently. All you need is a TV and a remote control. Here's the way I watch television. I'm going, here's an impression of any woman in this room. If you were sitting next to me on the couch watching TV, you'd be going, wait. Turn back, I want to see that. Turn back, I want to see it. Turn back, I want to see it. And I'm going, nah, you don't want to see that. Besides, I just want to see the score. Guys will watch anything on the sports channel. Because boys are brought up in much more of a one-up, one-down situation. Girls are brought up in more of an affiliative situation. Deborah Tannen's work. I realized this a while ago where I'm sitting next to a woman, we're watching TV, and I'm flipping through the channels. I come across this scene on the sports channel, a huge man carrying a boulder like this. Huge man, boulder. And I hear the announcer say, this man is in second place. So I stop. I say to my friend, I got to see who's in first. She gave me the look that women give men sometimes. She looked at me and she said, what's the difference? Who's in first place? He's carrying a rock. What does it matter? I said, well, it does matter because he's in second. I want to see him first. She grabs the remote control. Women, when you get it, you go, bup. This makes men nuts. Men have a condition called RCA, remote control addiction. 30 seconds without, you watch a man's arm start to shake like this. And these words come out of our mouths. Give it back. Let me hold it. You're not using it correctly. It's supposed to be flipped. And then we make what I call the promise. Let me hold it. I promise I won't change the channel. So women being compassionate, give it to us, except on commercials. So the key is to really try to find ways to laugh together and not to judge each other's humor. The third reason we don't use our sense of humor enough is we take ourselves much too seriously. We have to learn to lighten up on ourselves. We have to learn that life is imperfect. And the reason we don't know ourselves is we don't have the courage to really investigate our imperfections. Most of us don't know what we look like or sound like. Think of the first time you heard yourself on your answering machine. What'd you say to yourself? That's not me? What did your friend say? Sounds just like you. Video is worse. Video shows us exactly as we are. So the key really is to learn to lighten up on yourself. Look at the good side. One of the things that people say to cancer patients or cancer people, and these people mean well, and I understand that, but very often you'll hear people say, well, there must be a silver lining. Get that one? There must be a silver lining. So I try to look out, what's the silver lining in having cancer? Well, there are a couple of things come to mind. One is, I had prostate cancer at 52. The doctor says, you're such a young man. A young man? Finally, I'm a young man. And the rest of my life, Boy Scouts are lining up to help me cross the street. And to the doctor, I'm a young man. The second thing I realized, the silver lining, is I never realized how good ice chips were. Right? That is such a treat. You can't have anything. I'll give you those ice chips. So you begin to actually loosen up on yourself. You begin to take yourself lightly. You take your world seriously. And that's so important.